Conley. I'd like to call to order the May 22nd, May 22nd, 2018 regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners here in the Waxhaw Police Department Community Room. Would you all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. As far as the agenda goes, there is one additional item, number 6 to the consent agenda, approval of resolution number 2018-012 that Deputy Clerk Curry shared with the board. Other than that, the agenda is as presented. Any additional comments? We entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Before we go any further, I'd like to, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, welcome Mr. Charlie Buckley, our interim town attorney. He has made it clear to me that he wants to be a fly on the wall and will only comment when he needs to comment. So on behalf of the whole board, we welcome you and delighted to have you here. So we have no one signed up for regular public comments. It's primarily a budget hearing, public hearing tonight. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
That was 4.
Did you say no? Let me take it again. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay. 4-1.
2.
3-2 now. Okay. All right. Next up, we have no recognition nor presentations. The public hearing for the fiscal year 2018 proposed budget. Before we get into those that have signed up, I want to acknowledge and ask and direct the Deputy Clerk to include the comments that were sent via email from one Ms. Jill Conley and one Ms. Deborah Del Monte. Both of them sent them out late this afternoon, and if you would include them in the public comments for our review as a complete document, I'd appreciate it. First up, Bonnie Racinko.
My name is Bonnie Racinko. I live at 2501 Providence Road South. I'm here tonight. At first I was to speak about the $25 vehicle fee that was imposed or going to be put in the budget for each of the per vehicle. And I was wondering, how can you do this? And after sitting through the budget session and finding out that you're going to also raise our taxes by, I think, 2 or 3 cents and still keep this $25 per vehicle. How can you do that to the people that are citizens of Waxhaw? We put you here to watch our money and to be frugal. How is that being frugal? I can see raising taxes and eliminating the $25 vehicle fee and eliminating the $80 fee that was going to be imposed on the sanitation. And I was up here, I was going to commend the 3 commissioners that had voted the $80 fee not to be included into the budget from the last time. And yet when I sat through the budget, and one actually flipped her answer and said, no, I want to impose it. And then all of a sudden, a tax came up, and now the $80 fee is gone, but now we have a tax. I think that is so wrong to us. And I think that there's other ways that you can cut the budget, like the $198,000 that was discussed at the events, and there's other areas. Commissioner Lee and Burns, they both sat there and went line by line, and then I had a commissioner say he didn't like the word cut. he would prefer improve, which is fine, politically correct, that's fine. But the bottom line is that those line items tell us what you are spending it on. And it is up to you to let us know. We don't know by looking at the budget, a citizen. And you make it so difficult for us to get the budget and then not to have the line items attached to it, how you came up with those figures. It's impossible for anybody to get involved unless they come to these meetings on a daily basis, weekly basis, when you have your budget sessions, when you have your meetings. You know, that takes a lot of time and people work. It should be made readily available, no matter what, to the public. And yes, they have to pay for it at 25 cents a sheet, so be it. But I just want to know that I don't understand how you can sit there and be frugal with our money and to do this to us and not cut anywhere else and then put these taxes on us. And what about the vehicles that are not residents of Waxhaw? They drive our streets, they have trucks, there's people that don't even belong here. And we have to pay for those because they ruin our streets, and we're going to be responsible, we're going to pay for them. Why should we be penalized? And I know that you don't like the idea of cut, whatever you want to call it, but if we have to sacrifice as citizens, then those line item budgets, then every department in this town should sacrifice something. And when I sat through the budget session and no one wanted to cut anything, you know, it just appalls me. I'm so disappointed. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Miller?
Pro Tem, Commissioners. I'm back again. What I wanted to say was I'm against the $25 fee, and I'm against the $80 trash pickup. I've lived in this town. I'm 53 years old. I've lived in this town 53 years. In the last 15 years, I watched this town go to whatever you want to call it, but I'm not going to say the word. But y'all are supposed to be helping the citizens of Waxhaw. You're letting these businesses come in here, they aren't paying any money. You're taxing your citizens. It doesn't make any sense the way that y'all spend the money, paying for a consultation when you got people working in the town that do the job. They can sit down and do the study themselves. It's just ridiculous at the rate that you spend the money. And I heard in the little meeting y'all had that y'all wanted to help East Side. Well, the way you can help East Side is to cut that $25 and that $80 and that 2% tax increase off of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Denise Truesdale?
Good evening. My name is Denise Truesdale. I live at 708 Howie Mine Road. I'm here also tonight because, well, I try to come to all the meetings, but I'm here to let you know that I oppose these fees that you are imparting on the citizens of Waxhaw. I think it's terrible. You keep saying you are wanting to do something for us, but I don't see anything that you all are doing for us. I sit through these meetings for the last few months, and I've been disappointed over and over and over with the way you all have voted for the citizens of Waxhaw. I don't feel like you're voting for me. I'm like Sharon and maybe Bonnie. I've been here all my life, and I've seen Waxhaw change tremendously, and it has not been for the better of Waxhaw. You know, you say that you're trying to build a stronger community. I don't see it. I don't see any of it. I keep seeing an agenda that you all have, that you are strongly working toward. And I think that you all need to remember that you are elected officials put here by the citizens of Waxhaw. And just because one person can afford something, that doesn't say that everybody else here in Waxhaw can. And you're working for everybody, not just a group of people. You know, everything you're doing it in certain communities. And it's not benefiting the town at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Diana Ayers? Can you keep this to just the budget, because it's the budget part?
So do I sign up for two different areas?
Yeah, we'll sign you up for the general comments
Okay.
at the end, which will be right after this, in essence.
Okay.
We won't start the time until you tell us.
All right. Diana Ayers, 8808 Anklin Forest Drive. A point I would like to address before closing, and that's what I was going to do, are the fees and taxes that have been brought up. Yes, we can cut some services temporarily and kick the can down the road, so to speak, but eventually the piper has to be paid or we can go into debt. How are we supposed to get revenue from maintenance of our local roads, turnouts, and expansion for growing traffic conditions? NCDOT isn't going to pay all of our needs, and I don't think we want to go 2 weeks without garbage or trash disposal. Hiring more people to cover our population growth costs money. If someone has suggestions so services won't be cut, please present them. Maybe the city could apply for several small grants. Enough small grants can make up for larger grants that are denied and only go to one group.
Thank you. Tim Bagdasarian.
Good evening, Board of Commissioners, the Mayor, Town Manager, and other town staff. My name is Tim Bagdasarian. I live at 8920 Red Barone Place in Waxhaw. Last week I attended the Board of Commissioners budget work session. I listened to all the questions, comments from the BOC and the town staff regarding the budget. I think the idea of raising taxes or adding a flat vehicle tax of $25 to $30 per vehicle, or the suggesting of adding another flat fee of approximately $80 for solid waste management is incomprehensible. The town staff stated that as we continue to annex new residential developments into town, the tax revenue generated from those properties are not enough to cover 100% of the town services that we provide. Seems like we're always in the red trying to catch up. I'm not in favor of raising the taxes or creating a regressive tax disguised as a flat fee. To me, it is clearly evident that the cost of solid waste management is out of control. Mr. Ferguson, you stated several options of coming up with alternatives to cut that expense. And I think that the town needs to do a better job of controlling those costs. One of the options that was suggested by you for lowering those expenses was the trash service, that we could move from a truck that requires 3 men and then move to a more automated service that would only require the driver to operate. These trucks have a mechanical arm that pick up cans and dumps it. We know that these trucks are more efficient, they're more cost effective. You presented this idea, but you weren't in support of it. I come from a small town in Connecticut, population about 10,000 people, similar to Waxhaw. We moved to that one truck, one man option of picking up trash, and it served to service our town and lower our cost and expenses. The other thing was the leaf collection, and I think this one is a big one. Leaf collection is a significant expense to the town. You stated, Mr. Ferguson, that the level of service that Waxhaw has is extremely high and far exceeds the level of service that other communities of comparable size provide. Another option here is to cut expenses to have residents bag their leaves and place them at the curb for pickup instead of raking them to the leaves to the curb and having the staff tow an industrial-sized leaf vacuum trailer to suck them up. Again, you presented this idea, but you're not in favor of the option because it would cut services to the residents today. Again, it's your opinion. I think we need factual information on options for cutting expenses. I think the town would not be eliminating services by having bagged pickup instead of sending that vacuum truck out. I think more alternatives need to be considered when we're talking about cutting expenses for the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Candace, definis?
Good evening. My name is Candace Definis. I live at 8313 Willow Branch Drive. I, like most of the people I've spoken tonight, am against the increase of the vehicle tax as well as the increase of the trash tax. I, like Tim, believe that we can look at the contract, at the trash contract, and see what we can do with that contract to reduce the services associated to that contract. I would be in support of bagging the leaves. I would be in support of going down to once a year and or not having white goods pick up. I think that we do need to look at how we can reduce costs. I was extremely disheartened when I heard that we did not want to look at the line items to see how we could reduce cost. We should be looking at those line items. We should be doing what we can do to reduce cost. We should not be carrying forward the taxes to the people of this town. Additionally, I was very concerned and disheartened that when a priority was put on this list to be considered, that priority of Waxhaw Marvin Road Park was removed. I don't understand why, when something was made a priority, how it could be removed. I'm also very concerned that we are going to be putting in place or having a master plan drawn up, and we have no funding model. It concerns me greatly that the Master Parks Plan does not have a funding model at this point in time. And I think that while the plan is being drawn up, there should be something happening now. We should not be waiting for the completion of that plan. We should be in discussions now about how that can be funded. And there is nothing in this budget that funds the opening of any of our acres that we have on the inactive parks list. We have 95 acres of park space that are for all of the residents of Waxhaw, all of them. And we don't have anything in this budget that helps us conserve and open any park space. So those are the things that I'm concerned about. Again, as everyone said, you were elected here to be the voice of us, of the people. And you've heard from us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else out there that didn't have a chance to sign up as they came in? All right, then at this point in time, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have no old nor new business. Reports from each of us. I have two items to bring to your attention. One, Saturday, I want to acknowledge the Western Union County Leadership Forum. I'd encourage people to go out on Facebook and find out about it. But basically, they meet every other month. They're trying to pattern themselves after the Ballantine Breakfast Club, where they bring information out to educate the citizens of Western Union County on topics. And on St. Patrick's Day, they did an education session. They did a session on education and educated those that attended on some of the nuances between Union County, the state, et cetera. This past Saturday, the whole topic was transportation and how do the funds get allocated and how do the roads get prioritized in Western Union County, with an emphasis on everything has moved away from a political system with the law change in 2013 and the implementation in 2015 to a data-driven, all based upon the input that we have. And to participate, you have to play, and that's why Commissioner Lee and I attend all those meetings and participate and represent the town. I also want to acknowledge and just put on the record, we've received it, board, you're aware of it, but we've received a request from the Waxhaw Lodge number 250. They would like to make a donation of their facility to the town. I'm going to turn it over to Manager Ferguson, or we've turned it over to Manager Ferguson to do the due diligence. It's a facility. They donate the facility, the property. He will do the due diligence to understand the state it's in and what we do with it, and do we want to do anything with it, and bring it back to the board for ultimate decision by the board. But at this point in time, I want to acknowledge and thank the the lodge for their thoughtful offer. Mayor Pro Tem?
Just a quick comment on one particular thing that has come up this week with regard to me. There have been a number of comments with regard to myself, but one that I would like to address tonight is one that was made with regard to my ethnic background and my interest in the east side or the downtown area. My interest in this area is because the people who have lived here for many years have been underserved for many years, and that's with regard to sidewalks, streets, sewers, and various other ways. And as residents of Waxhaw, they are entitled to the same services. A lot of interest has been placed on the north side or other areas of town besides those particular areas in the downtown or east side area. That has nothing to do with ethnic background. That has to do with the fact that they have been underserved, and I should not be addressed particularly because of my ethnic background.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns?
I would like to make a comment, and I believe I've already covered this, but I want to cover it one more time. In our retreat several months ago, we all went through a process by a third-party, unbiased consultant that facilitated our retreat. He asked all of us on the board and the mayor and the manager to come up with what we thought would be our top priorities for the town to move forward on. We all had the opportunity to go to the whiteboard and put there could have been 50. I think there ended up being maybe 10. And then we were given yellow, red, and green magnets to put on the ones that we thought was the best. The end result of that unbiased process was 2 2s and 2 1s. The top 2 scored 1, and the next scored 2. The 2s were sidewalks and the 34-acre park parcel. So that's a balanced and a very fair thing to do. So in the last meeting, because of that result, the board decided that that priority should be removed. So that removed 2 of our votes in that process, which is very unfair and it's dishonest. Those 4 priorities were chosen in a very deliberate way with no bias whatsoever, and I'm asking the board to put that priority back on the board and not take away my opinion and my voice, as that is one of the priorities. If we're going to look at it that way, then there's 2 2s and there's 2 1s. Let's take both of the 2s off and just have 2 priorities. Because maybe I don't like the result of the sidewalks. This is not the way this board needs to be operating in that context. So I'm asking that that priority be put back on the board. All of those are unfunded projects. But to just say I don't like the results of that process and let's rip that one off, it's dishonest. Thank you.
Commissioner Lee?
I second everything Commissioner Burns just said. No comments tonight.
Just yesterday, you sent us all an email in regards to an action that was being considered by the Union County Board of Commissioners, and I was a little confused. I did hear that and the action was, I believe, to not fund or remove funding from sewer work for downtown Waxhaw. But the County Board of Commissioners voted last night 3-2 to continue that work. So do you have any insights as to how that got started and how it ended up? I'm just concerned, that's all.
This has been a project that the town has worked on dating back to it's been on the table since 2006. It's been something that the current Board of County Commissioners brought to the town back in 2016 and said, would you work it staff-wise? Staff has been working with it. I know Warren was, and Greg, I think you and your staff have been working with them to give them the input. Don't know exactly how it moved from what. I wasn't there last night, but at the end of the day, they voted to move forward with it as a part of the capital plan, and they're moving forward, and it has to do with expanding the capacity for downtown, which is at the limit. So that's all I know about it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, on to general public comments. Diana Ayers. Welcome back.
Diana Ayers, 8808 Anklin Forest Drive. As a resident of this community for 5.5 years now, and after attending various meetings, community functions, and talking with residents, I believe I'm becoming more aware of the strengths and weaknesses of this community. Our towns and cities don't have the ability to have a moratorium on growth here in North Carolina, as South Carolina does, and which Fort Mill has called for. We must petition the state legislature here to get approval. Hopefully residents are aware that the rapid development that is taking place, like in Millbridge, was on the books for years and is coming to full fruition now. Growth of these developments didn't happen with this board, but have been on the books for years. The city also owns parcels of land that have been discussed for development for some time now. Here is where development and non-development have become a concern of residents. We have seen studies done and promises made and deadlines not met to fulfill those promises. There has been money wasted, in my opinion, because recommendations weren't discussed and met in a timely manner. So where are we now? We are required by the state to have another study that is up to date because of the passage of time and changes. I personally wish tweaks could have been made to prevent previous plans to avoid time delays and costs. I'm personally hoping this master plan and its recommendations will be a plan that the board can work with and implement, and that the priorities that are spelled out will be followed. Although I am a member of the special interest group to save the park of 32 acres on Waxhaw Marvin Road, I have come to the conclusion that the members of this board were elected by all in Waxhaw and represent all areas of this city. They have an obligation to fulfill what the majority of their constituents want, and in order of need to be second or fifth in line of recommendations, and not necessarily what a special interest group from whatever part of the city wants. Do I want a park on Waxhaw Marvin Road? Yes, but the process should start, and those needs should be met in a timely manner and in a priority. We don't need to have a city that has liabilities and tax law and lawsuits and legal fees which could bankrupt our cities. In closing.
Go ahead, finish in closing.
In closing, the voters will remember when things are accomplished by a board that can work together and find a common good. We know you can be the professionals we expect. We hope that by all of your attending outside meetings in other communities to find out what has worked for them and what doesn't, we can avoid costly mistakes. It would be nice to know if you could share with the residents those findings by some form of notice. We do care, and we would like to know what you have found out. Thank you.
And I understand we have one additional person that would like to come up and offer up a comment. Come on up, sir. If you would, just identify yourself and get in your address.
My name is Rufus Coffey, and I represent Waxhaw Lot number 250. And you did not say anything about what we want from the city, from the lot. Just only donating.
No. I was acknowledging that you have, and the manager is looking into the whole thing, and we'll bring it back to the board. Everybody on the board understands, but if you would like to
No, we'll do it your way, in a way.
read. We're just appreciative of the generous offer, and at this,
Wasn't my time to make this,
yeah, so,
is that correct?
no, yeah. You can offer up a comment now, but we're in the due diligence process now of looking at everything, evaluating what you requested, what's out there, all of that stuff, so we can have a good, thoughtful discussion about it.
Okay, well, you know what we want.
You made it real clear, okay? Very clear.
That I can go back home and get my hearing aid.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we have no other items on the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So we